All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley, BJ Armstrong and Rick Bucher are back. Let's move to the Raptors, who came up just short of the win last night, despite a late-game takeover by Kawhi Leonard that briefly gave Toronto the lead. Kawhi's been a dominant force in these playoffs, and before last night's game, he credited load management for his success, skipping 22 games in the regular season. After watching Kevin Durant's injury, it's hard to believe that load management won't be an even bigger topic going forward. Last night, to me, it was the first thing I thought about. Kawhi Leonard's going up, and Kevin Durant just took a big spill, and Kawhi Leonard skipped 22 games, and the NBA has been changed forever. The 82-game schedule has an expiration point because these superstar players are not going to play 82, and the NBA is going to have to adjust its schedule.
Yeah, and I saw this coming. I think we all did. Now we're starting to connect the dots. Let's go back to LeBron James, who spends reportedly $1.5 million annually on his body. Let's just say he knows what his body's about. What did he start doing to the metrics? Becoming one of the slowest players in the NBA, despite being one of the greatest talents we've ever seen play basketball. That was a conscious effort. What did we see with teams start to understand? And even LeBron James made mention of this. What's the use of winning 73 games and you can't even win a championship? You didn't have enough at the end of the season. What does James Harden show us every postseason? There's a certain fatigue for going out there trying to win the regular season MVP instead of putting yourself in position for the finals MVP. Kawhi Leonard, by the numbers, has never played more than 74 games in his 8 seasons. KD has done that 7 times. As you said, one trajectory going one way, one going the other. Derek Coleman is cited in the article by Frank Isolo about how he may have started load management, but I wasn't in the NBA.
Bruce, I played with Derek Coleman.
You played with Derek Coleman, so you know what he said. Hey, coach, I can give it to you when you need it most. You want it in practice or in the game? I give you the story
that was weed management, but go ahead.
Yeah. It was a little more than that load. A little more than the load. Bruce Smith, on the sidelines, Marv Levy, great coach sitting there. And Bruce was sitting there just being a veteran, being a Hall of Famer, getting mental reps more than physical reps. Marv wanted him to step it up, set an example. Bruce said, hey, Marv, I can give it to you when you want it most. Is that Wednesday or Sunday? Is that Thursday or Sunday? Is that Friday or Sunday? Because I'm only going to give it to you once. We realized what the point was. And that was 20 years ago. These players are understanding to run the marathon, you got to pace yourself. And it's going to be a smart play and a change going forward.
The issue I have is that there's a negativity around load management. Like these guys are trying to get away with something or that they're trying to cut corners. And that's where I take exception to the comparison
Still get paid.
to Derek Coleman. Still get paid, but what's the smart play?
Pay full price for the tickets. That's where the complaints are coming from.
I understand the complaint, but I look at Kawhi Leonard and I look at Derrick Rose and the decisions they made and not to play. Kawhi Leonard may be on the precipice of winning Finals MVP and winning a championship. Where's Kevin Durant? Because he gave into the other. He gave into the noise. So I don't buy that. The problem that I have is the game has changed.
Yes.
The game is played at a much faster pace with greater athletes.
Right.
There are more possessions. There is more being asked of these guys on a nightly basis from a physical standpoint that, whether you want to call it load management or whatever, to equate it with Derek deciding, you know what, I'm not up for shoot around. I'm not up for practice. I'll be ready for the games. Trust me on that, is different than this. This is a matter of survival. We're seeing it. We're seeing these guys spend more money and do more conditioning than ever before and still breaking down physically. That tells me that the game is asking more of them and we need to be smarter in what we ask them to do.
And Rick is absolutely right. The game has changed. Now we hear this term pace and space. Okay, when I played, some 20 years ago, there was an off season. The NBA is a year-round workload now. Right? We're going straight from the playoffs. We're going to go right to summer league. Everyone's talking about grind and they got to work out in the summer.
Yeah.
Taking time off is part of your recovery. Recovery, right? Resting is part of the recovery process. And when you have these people playing all the time and there's no time off, this is what's going to happen. So, when we played, our summers were our summers. We took that time off because we knew we were going to play deep in the playoffs. But now everyone is playing, and the game is so much faster than it was 20, 25 years ago that you're seeing it. And I'll say this, the way these kids play, crossing over, step backs, those things take its toll. The body wasn't made to do that, okay? Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook, when I played, I was 165 pounds soaking wet. These kids are 205, 210 pounds doing the things that the body shouldn't be doing at the point guard position. These guards are playing over the top. Kevin Durant is 7 feet.
Bringing the ball up.
Bringing the ball. Porzingis and these guys are doing things that we just didn't see 7-footers do, which now is putting stress on the body that we just don't know. Yeah. And these kids are ahead of the science because we don't know what they're doing physically.
That's a hell of a point, because just think about all the 7-footers in your era and before. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't called.
And you waited for him to get out there. Exactly. Leading them.
He wasn't in frame.
Very deliberate steps, and then you take the sky hook and trot back down the other way. Right. And so the game is, again, I want to go back to, though, can the 82-game season survive this? We've already heard Adam Silver hint that some adjustments may be coming. I think it's inevitable.
Well, to your point, in the rigorous game we have as a team sport, is football, there was an off season when I was drafted. It was a mandatory minicamp, that's it. They've added voluntary minicamps. They added OTAs and all these coaching sessions that has taken its toll to the point where they now made a rule change. No consecutive full padded practices. Now you see Kawhi Leonard, who says, this year I had no consecutive game back-to-backs. So what you have to do is, if they're not going to change it by the aggregate number of 82, then you're going to edit it. So, yeah, going forward, load management has to be the way.
What's really interesting is that they're going to introduce this mid-season tournament idea, and I don't know how you do that around the All-Star game without reducing the stress elsewhere. You can't, I mean, that's where it's the great injustice in football. You want to add 2 more games and we'll pay you a little bit more money, and we're going to take the quality of the game even further down. That's what the NBA, I hope, is smart enough to say, yeah, we want to do more, we want to have more entertainment, we want to have more competition. Okay, but you have to take something away if you're going to add something.
They're going to take games away eventually, in my opinion. And BJ, being an agent, will players accept perhaps a little less money for less games?
Well, I don't think the players will want to accept that, but I think that will be the main goal for the owners, is to say, yeah, well, it'll be like that will be the negotiation with the union, right? As an agent, of course, you don't want that to happen. As a player, the players don't want to give up money, but I think that will be the core of the negotiation of saying we will take away the games if you take less money, and I think that will be negotiated.
And so if I'm Kawhi Leonard versus Jerbico or Repko for Golden State, I have 2 different perspectives on that. Because Kawhi Leonard's going to make $35 million a year, let's say. Right. Okay, now I'm going to make 31. It could be, he may make $2 million and have to be cut down to $1 million. That's real money. So there'll be some, but I get the superstars are always going to win.
Yeah, well, they're going to win. This is always going to be a star league. But what I think the owners will compromise will be the length of the contracts. You won't see as many 4- or 5-year contracts, and they'll reduce them, because you're beginning to see that now with 1-year, 2-year deals, which will somehow they'll figure out what will be the best moving forward for all the teams.
Well, tell me this, because it hasn't come to a head yet, because the network contracts are already on the books.
Right.
So guess what? Right now, the owners make money 2 ways, mostly from the television contracts and then in-game experience. They want 41 home games, parking, concessions, ticket prices, memorabilia. Now you start to take that away. So it's one thing to say Kawhi won't be here, but people are still going to show up to the Raptors arena. Now, there's just not a game for me to make that extra money. I think that the owner's going to balk at that a little more than we anticipate.
They probably will. There are other revenue streams, though, that they can exploit globally. Yeah.
All right, coming up, is Justin Bieber headed for an MMA showdown with Tom Cruise?
Oh, my.
TV's hottest look at social media.
What has happened to the sport?